that babies exposed to marijuana in the womb may require clinical care earlier than non-exposed population. It's widely known that marijuana is the most used illicit drug in the world. A recent NIH survey says that almost 1 of 10 Americans use marijuana. In Brazil, 3.5% of adolescents use marijuana, and this number are increasing. Particularly during pregnancy, 13% of pregnant women use marijuana to reduce symptoms of pregnancy like lack of appetite, nausea, and although pregnant women often presume that cannabis has no consequences for the developing infants, recent research suggests otherwise. Marijuana can cross the placenta to reach the fetus. There are many evidences on the effects of prenatal marijuana use on the babies. The use of marijuana during pregnancy increases the odds of being underweight at birth by 77%. Most troubling, marijuana interferes with the development and maturation of the brain of the kids, causing memory impairment, increased risk for hyperactivity and impulsivity, and impaired attention. Finally, children whose mothers used marijuana during pregnancy have increased odds of using cannabis later in life. The number of countries that are decriminalizing the use of marijuana for medical or recreational purposes are continuously increasing. On this map, those countries are seen in blue and green and yellow. As you may notice, they are concentrated in Europe and Americas, mainly. Currently, medical cannabis is legal in 29 states in US and are shown in green in this map, dark green and light green. As marijuana use becomes socially accepted, we notice decreased perception of risk from smoking marijuana, an increased perception of availability, and fewer punitive legal penalties. So the retina is the neural portion of the eye. It's known as an extension of the central nervous system. The retina transforms light energy that gets into the eye in electrical signals that are conducted to the brain through the optic nerve. Cannabinoid receptors are one of the numerous receptors present in the retina. They play physiological roles in the retina. However, when activated by exogenous substances, they may cause damage to the retina. As little is known about the impacts of maternal use of cannabis on the retinal development and its potential postnatal consequences, we decided to investigate the effects of mice smoking marijuana during pregnancy on the offspring's retina. In this study, we included 20 pregnant mice that were exposed daily for 5 minutes to either marijuana smoke or filtered air. After birth, 5 puppies from each group had their retinas examined by optical coherence tomography to determine the retinal thickness. OCTs were done at 3, 6, and 12 months after birth. To do so, we created a smoking machine that consists of a smoking generator and inhalation apparatus capable of mimicking the use of cannabis in humans according to the dose and exposure. One by one, pregnant mice were exposed to the smoking of burning of cannabis cigarettes or to filtered air. Retinal thickness was assessed by OCT. OCT is a non-invasive imaging test that shows in vivo the 10 retinal layers, allowing us to map and measure all the retinal layers. According to the cell types and functions, retina can be divided into inner and outer retina, as you may see in this image. In this study, we examined the thickness of the entire retina and individual retinal layers. Our data shows that on average, the retina of puppies prenatally exposed to marijuana is 12% thinner. 3 months after birth, the outer retina of the puppies whose mother were exposed to marijuana smoke during pregnancy is 11% thinner than of those exposed to filtered air. Thinning increased to 20% after 1 year. When we look at inner retina, indeed, results are significant. 3 months after birth, the inner retina of puppies exposed to marijuana smoke is 8% thinner on the average. Our results show that the thinning of the entire retina continues after birth, despite cessation of exposure to marijuana smoke. The findings of our study suggest that retinal thinning of the offspring may have functional impact on the vision. The outer retina, which contains the cones and rods that convert light into electrical signals, are associated with the vision of colors, details, and adaptation to the dark and light. The inner retina, which contains cells that transmit visual information to the brain, are associated with contrast color and movement perception. In closing, we showed for the first time that gestational exposure to marijuana smoke may have lasting effects on the structure of the retina. And those effects get worse as the baby ages. Those are experimental evidences that suggest that children and young adults born from mothers who used to smoke marijuana during pregnancy may require clinical care earlier than the non-exposed population. Currently, we are working on the clinical consequences of our findings. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again I want to thank Arvo for giving me this great honor. Thank you.